Sheryl Swoopes had a lot to say about the Indiana Fever, and every word aged like spoiled milk. She swore no star players would sign. She claimed Caitlin Clark wouldn't bring elite talent. She dismissed Indiana as a franchise no one wanted to join. But now, that entire narrative just got torched. The Fever didn't just prove her wrong, they've done it in the loudest way possible. They pulled off one of the biggest power moves in WNBA history, and let's just say Swoopes isn't taking it really well. What exactly went down, and why is she so furious? Lace up, grab your popcorn, and let's get into it. You know Sheryl Swoopes, the WNBA legend, is known for speaking her mind, but on the subject of the Indiana Fever, her words have been nothing short of controversial and, frankly, wrong. For months now, Swoopes insisted that the Fever were simply not a destination for star players. She stood firm in her belief that Caitlin Clark, the future face of the WNBA, couldn't possibly attract top-tier talent to a team like Indiana. In fact, Swoopes went further, saying that Clark's presence wouldn't change the landscape of the Fever at all. She painted a picture of a franchise stuck in mediocrity, surrounded by turmoil, a toxic locker room, and nothing more than a stepping stone for players waiting to leave. This was no mild critique. Swoopes wasn't just offering an opinion, she was outright dismissing the potential of Indiana and Caitlin Clark's influence. Her narrative? That Indiana would remain in the shadows of the WNBA, forever struggling to pull in big names and win. She even went as far as to claim no free agents would want to touch the team. They're a mess, she said. Swoopes doubted that Clark, a player with immense skill, passion, and fan appeal, could draw anyone with the caliber of experience or success Indiana needed. Now let's stop right here and think about that. Was that just a hot take? Or did Swoopes genuinely believe that? Maybe, just maybe, she didn't see the writing on the wall and didn't realize how a player like Caitlin Clark could completely flip the script and attract a new era of talent. But here's the twist. This narrative didn't just fall apart, it exploded. The Indiana Fever weren't just lying in wait. They were building something much bigger than what Swoopes had predicted. While the Fever may have been overlooked in the past, things were changing behind the scenes, and when the time was right, they struck. One by one, star players started signing with Indiana. On February 5th, 2025, DeWanna Bonner officially joined the Fever, adding championship experience and leadership to the roster. Just a day later, on February 4th, 2025, Cydney Colson made her move to Indiana after 3 seasons in Las Vegas. These aren't just role players, mind you, these are veterans, champions, and leaders. They didn't just join Indiana for a paycheck, they joined because they saw something real being built. Let's break this down. DeWanna Bonner is a multi-time All-Star and one of the most respected veterans in the league. When she put pen to paper on February 5th, 2025, it wasn't just another signing, it was a statement. She's been to the finals, won titles, and knows what it takes to win. Her experience alone is a gold mine for Indiana. It's like having a walking blueprint for success. Then there's Natasha Howard, a force on defense and a champion in her own right. Reintroduced to the Fever organization after a decade, Howard's return isn't just a homecoming, it's a power move. She's become a WNBA Defensive Player of the Year, a 2-time All-Star, and a 3-time WNBA champion. Do you think she's just gonna sit around in a losing culture? No way. She saw a team ready to take the next step, and she jumped at the opportunity to be a part of that. Finally, Cydney Colson is one of the most highly respected leaders in the WNBA. Her signing on February 4th, 2025 further solidified the Fever's push for a winning culture. She's the glue that holds things together, that spark in the locker room that can turn a good team into something special. Colson brings more than just skill. She's got that veteran leadership that elevates everyone around her. And just like that, the Indiana Fever transformed from an afterthought to a serious threat. A team with title aspirations in the making. Swoopes' idea that Indiana couldn't attract top talent is completely shredded to pieces. Indiana didn't just go after any players, they targeted the players who could bring them to the top. This isn't just a roster overhaul, this is a strategic power play to put the league on notice. Now, everything Swoopes said is being used against her. She claimed no stars would come, but they did. She said Caitlin Clark wouldn't attract the talent she did. She insisted Indiana wasn't a contender. Now, they're in the conversation for a title run. But instead of admitting she got it wrong, Swoopes is doubling down, still trying to discredit the Fever's moves, still calling them overhyped. At this point, it's hard to take her seriously. The evidence is right there. Indiana isn't just rebuilding, they're positioning themselves to win big. When players like Bonner, Howard, and Colson sign on, that's not just hype, that's a blueprint for success. And this isn't just about Indiana, it's a shift for the entire WNBA. The era of top stars flocking to the same teams is fading. New franchises are stepping up, proving that with the right leadership and vision, any team can rise fast. So why is Swoopes still upset? Maybe she's just not ready to accept that the Fever are proving her wrong in real time. Maybe doubling down is the only move she has left. But here's the truth. Indiana isn't waiting for approval. They've built something real, and whether Swoopes wants to admit it or not, they're heading straight for the top. Again, this isn't just one analyst getting it wrong. What's happening with Indiana is bigger than one team. It's a signal that the WNBA is shifting, and some people aren't ready for it. The shift happening in the WNBA isn't just about Indiana, it's changing the entire league. For years, only a few teams dominated while others stayed stuck in endless rebuilding cycles, but Indiana has shattered that old pattern. This isn't luck, mind you. The Fever didn't just stumble into success. They built it piece by piece, making smart, intentional moves to create a team that thrives together. This approach isn't just lifting Indiana, it's forcing other teams to rethink how they operate. The league is seeing more competition, smarter strategies, and an overall boost in talent. More players want to be a part of teams that are serious about winning. More fans are paying attention. The WNBA isn't just standing still anymore, it's evolving. And that's a real problem for critics like Sheryl Swoopes. She built her argument around the idea that Indiana would never attract stars, that Caitlin Clark wouldn't make an impact, and that the Fever were just another struggling team. But with every signing, every win, and every move Indiana makes, those claims fall apart. Now, as teams fight to stay ahead in this new highly competitive WNBA, one thing is clear. Stagnation is no longer an option. The bar has been raised, and those who refuse to see the change, they'll be the ones left behind. Now let's get real about what's coming next. For all the noise about Indiana's rise, this is just the opening act. The Fever aren't some overnight sensation. This roster wasn't built for a quick run, it was built to last. Caitlin Clark hasn't even reached her full potential yet, and that alone should have the rest of the league on edge. She's not just here to compete, she's here to reshape what success looks like in Indiana, and it doesn't stop with her. Aaliyah Boston is still developing, still sharpening her game, but the talent is undeniable. With the right leadership around her, she's got everything needed to be a force in this league. The mix of youth and experience on this team isn't by chance, it's by design. That's where the veterans come in. DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, and Cydney Colson aren't just seasoned players, they're battle-tested winners who know exactly what it takes to survive a championship chase. They bring the leadership, the composure, the grit. When the pressure rises, they won't flinch. So, what does this mean for Indiana's future? The rest of the league better be paying attention. This isn't just a team trying to make the playoffs, they're coming for everything, and here's the real question: who's ready to stop them? So now, the only question left is how far can Indiana take this? They've silenced the doubters, flipped the WNBA landscape, and they're just getting started. But every great team faces obstacles, and the road to a championship isn't handed to anyone. Will the Fever be the team that reshapes the league, or is there still work to be done? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you see Indiana as a legit contender, or are there more moves to make? And if you're ready for more WNBA drama, analysis, and the stories that keep shaking the game, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This league is heating up, and you won't want to miss what's coming next.